12:30 a.m. New Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know with BIN News. The FDA's top bird flu experts were fired amid federal job cuts. About 10,000 workers were laid off, including 130 from the FDA's Center for Veterinary Medicine. A 4th missing American soldier has been found dead in Lithuania, in addition to the 3 other soldiers who died following a vehicle accident last month. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said President Trump and the White House are praying for the victims' families. Police report a truck crash in Boston's Chinatown appears to be a tragic accident. 6 people were injured, with 4 hospitalized and 2 treated at the scene. A video shows a yellow Penske truck on its side wrapped around an electrical pole. The investigation is ongoing. And the Netflix series Black Mirror is adding Issa Rae, Tracy Ellis Ross, and Rashida Jones to its cast for its 7th season, set to release this month. The anthology show tends to focus on the collision between technology and society. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
New Schools for New Orleans is committed to celebrating the hardworking teachers of New Orleans Public Schools. Join us at the 4th annual NOLA Teacher Fest, sponsored by the All-State Sugar Bowl New Orleans teacher community. The NOLA Teacher Fest is happening Friday, May 2nd at Champion Square from 4 to 7 p.m. The fest is open to teachers, paraprofessionals, deans, coaches, counselors, and other school support staff. Visit our website to learn more and RSVP, www.newschoolsforneworleans.org.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 12:30 a.m.
Wake up, New Orleans, and happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt, and my super producer, Nara Sanders, is also in the building. It's Wednesday, y'all. Hump day. We almost to the end of the work week. I hope you're having a wonderful week thus far. But you know what we're gonna do? We talk about it on the radio show. So let's talk about it. So I didn't go to the meeting yesterday, but if you went to the meeting, please feel free to call 504-582-9422, and let's talk about the superintendent search and the public engagement meeting that took place, I believe, at Cohen High School. It happened on yesterday. I didn't go, but I'm certain some of the listening audience went. And if you want to engage in this conversation, again, the number is 504-582-9422. It says, superintendent search coming to a close after engagement meeting. Final interviews are set for Wednesday, followed by a vote to select the next superintendent. The article goes on to say a funding error, direct run schools, and bus transportation are some topics the public pressed the NOLA PS superintendent candidates on Tuesday night. It says, again, a funding error, direct run schools, and bus transportation. Hold on to that bus transportation because I have questions that need answering as it relates to that. But the article goes on to say the public got a chance to speak with Dr. Fatima Fulmore and Dr. Sharon Clark before one of them is selected as the district's next leader. We've already said what we're looking for in a superintendent. We've said that we want a superintendent who is born and raised in New Orleans. We've also said we want a superintendent who will open more direct run schools, said Dave Cash with the United Teachers of New Orleans. Tuesday, both women laid out their plans and answered tough questions from parents, with one of the biggest questions being, will the district go back to fully direct running schools? 1, it has to be tied to the vision of the board, and 2, it has to be tied to a need that is fiscally responsible, said Fulmore. There's still all of our children in different schools, and I'm not sure if we should differentiate and not include all children when we talk about our system, said Clark. Neither of the candidates verbally expressed interest to run more schools, but did address a call for additional accountability with the charter management systems. Well, they can't talk about fully embracing direct run schools because that's not the order. That's not the marching order. So let's be very clear. We're having conversations right now and are engaging our leaders. And what does our charter school accountability framework need to look like locally? Said Fulmore. It's going back and giving our schools guidance to make sure they understand what needs to happen with the new accountability model, said Clark. Both candidates addressed bus services and several improvements, and parents said that's all great, but they're hoping one promise is made and kept. Hopefully they'll be transparent with us because we've always been transparent with them, said Melissa Francis. The board will meet Wednesday for final interviews with the candidates, and they will make a decision. They're set to discuss the new superintendent's contract on Thursday. So let's talk about this. Parents have specific questions, and I'll go back to what Dave Cash said, the United Teachers of New Orleans. We've all said what we want in a superintendent, one who is born and raised in New Orleans. And here is the thing. Y'all have to be very careful what you ask for, because, see, they'll go and try to get you with what, they'll try to mirror what you say you want, but in the candidate that they want. So let's be very clear, because the conversations were not around just any person who who was born and raised here. The conversation was about a specific person who was born and raised here. And if we're going to be fully transparent, the conversation centered around Dr. Ashanta White. That's me, her, right? So this is not anything new. We know the game. We know the players, right? So when you talk about the teachers union, that's Dave Cash from the United Teachers of New Orleans. And so you're asking these very direct questions in terms of if they'll be open to running direct run schools. That's not what they're looking for the superintendent to do. That's why you got two folk who they know are going to do what the marching orders say do. There's no interest in direct running schools. There was no interest in opening Leah Chase, which is why I believe we don't have the last superintendent we had. So when we ask these questions, I don't know why the media is very like soft gloves with this system. Very soft gloves with New Schools for New Orleans. Very soft gloves with the Louisiana Association of Charter Schools. I don't know why. They don't ask the tough questions, because why is it that parents are asking for the one thing? If it's a parental engagement meeting, if it's a community engagement meeting, you're letting them skate by the very questions that the community have. All of these words by both of them say nothing. One, it has to be tied to the vision of the board, and two, it has to be tied to the need that is fiscally responsible. That's Fatima's answer. So that tells you that the vision of the board is not to direct run schools. That's the answer. It's a no, because that's not the vision of the board. And number two, you're talking about something tied to fiscal responsibility. We still have yet to understand where this misallocation of funding is. So if we're going to talk fiscal responsibility, don't talk about it when it suits you or when it's convenient. Talk about it in full picture. Where is the money? We still don't know. That should have been a question at the meeting. I didn't waste my time going, because it just doesn't, I'm learning to disengage from things that don't serve me, and being there wouldn't have served me. Here is what Sharon said. They're still all our children in different schools, and I'm not sure if we should differentiate and not include all children when we talk about our system. What? That's a whole bunch of words to say nothing. We know they're all in different schools. That's the way the charter management operators want it. We don't have a school system. We have a system of schools. Tell us something we don't know, Miss Bessie Rep. Right? We have to stop playing. But let's talk about, they mentioned bus contracts. I want to know, I'm coming, Roy. Let me ask this question so maybe I could put it on people's mind. I want to know, is it ethical? Is it permissible? Is it legal to contract a bus through your partner, your husband, your boyfriend, whoever he is to you, and you're the owner or the CMO of a charter operator? Like, is that how it goes? Because last time I checked, all of these contracts are supposed to be bids. Right? It's supposed to be bids, and open bids at that. Not no back room insider trading going on. No, if you have a bus contract, it's supposed to be bidding. But so I'm trying to find out, is it legal? Is it permissible? Is it ethical for a contract to be given to the partner of the person that's running the charter? I just want to know. I have questions. And y'all know when I have questions, I have receipts. So I have that question. But let's talk about it, Roy. Good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I had to turn you up. What you saying?
Look here, are you aware of the latest thing that the governor did in retaliation for his failure on those propositions?
I did. I talked about it on yesterday, but we're going to talk about it again today. I'm very much aware. Yes, sir.
Yeah, he issued 2 executive orders.
Yeah.
And these have far-reaching effects. I think the first one, he wants everyone to join the Republican Party to vote in the state lease, and this is supposed to take effect in 2027. And the second executive order, he wants to eliminate the teaching of history, science, and the environmental program. But there's another catch to that thing. He wants every school and university in the state to start classes by giving the Pledge of Allegiance.
Well,
I mean, this is ridiculous. But what really concerns me is that first one.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very dangerous precedent here.
Yeah.
In fact, it's unconstitutional anyway, and it's going to fail. but we should be ever vigilant of what's going on in this state. And I just want to let people know aware of it, because I haven't heard anything other than what you're talking about. But this is something the folks have to be aware of, because this son of a gun is the devil in the state house.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but we saw him. We talk about it all the time. How he's this mini version of Trump, right? And so we don't. I'm not surprised, And I knew when he lost that it was going to be about revenge. I knew he was going to try to go after something immediately, because his feelings are hurt, and we know about this fragility that they have when they lose.
Is this executive? Well, he's going to mandate that everybody has to be a member of the Republican Party.
Well, he can't make that mandate. You can't infringe on my my rights to identify with the party I want to identify with. So he's just taking cues from his commander in chief. This does not shock me. I'm just of the mindset that it is up to us to educate us, and it's up to us to push back on things that don't serve us. And so as long as we collectively do that, he'll see that signing and scribbling on paper, it has no more power than when his friend in the White House does it. You still have to go through Congress to get a lot of things done, and that's why he's trying to strip judges of their rightful duties. That's why he's trying to do it, because he's losing in the court. So now his next aim is to take away judicial powers, and he thinks he can unilaterally do that as well. So I mean, listen, we just have to collectively come together, all of our leaders on the state, local level, all of our leaders in Washington. We have to send a clear sign that you can't just do what you want. All of these seats of authority have hierarchies attached to them. And the three branches of government, not one of them outweighs the other. And I don't know why he thinks it does. He seems to think the White House has this like mythical power over everything else. And it just does not. It doesn't work that way. So let's just hope that folk are pushing back in the way that they should. Yeah. So, I'm with you, Roy. I'm with you. I'm here.
Keep up the good work.
Appreciate
I'm
you.
listening.
Have a great one.
You too.
Listen, I enjoy engaging with the WBOK listening audience, and I do know, we talked briefly about what he was trying to do in the wake of those amendment losses, and I'm sure it'll get more radical. It'll get more radical. It will absolutely get more radical. So I'm not surprised at anything that is going on there. But I absolutely want to jump back into this conversation that we were having as it relates to our schools, because, again, we have to make certain that what we're asking for is what they're actually going to provide to us. We ask for someone born and raised here. We ask for somebody who has a proven track record of success. And I don't know, again, I don't know Dr. Fatima Fulmore at all, and I've heard like positive things about her. This is no shot against her. This is to try to make certain that you understand that you walked into something that I don't even know that if you were fully aware of it. Just like Dr. Avis Williams walked into something that I don't think she was fully aware of. And now it's pawns, right? One side has their pawn and the other side has their pawn, and both sides, the only goal was to make sure that the community didn't get what the community asked for. And since we're going around with all of these doctor titles, we're not going to pretend like neither one of y'all don't really know what's really going on here, especially Sharon Clark. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about things like, I'm wondering why nobody asked her, how can she lead a district with a proficiency rate under 10% across different content areas? That sounds like a valid question to me. But they're going to have their canned answers, because that's what these are. All of this is a bunch of words and it's not saying anything. They specifically asked you, are you interested in fully direct running schools? And both of the answers were canned answers to not address the question. But the answer is in the response. One, it has to be tied to the vision of the board. So are you saying that the vision of the board is not to direct run more schools? Because if it is, that tells us why Avis Williams is no longer here. So these are the kind of things that, like, it frustrates me when people pretend like they don't know what's really happening here, when they pretend not to ask the right questions because you don't really want to have to say the real answer. Because I'm certain both of them went there with a whole bunch of notes and a whole bunch of talking points. That's why you had themes. This is what we're going to talk about. These were the topics. Did they even let the folk ask questions that were natural to the community to ask? Or did you stick to a purview, like we only going to talk about these things? But I mean, we knew the district wasn't interested in running direct run schools long before today. We absolutely knew it when the elections were going on. That's why you ran certain candidates, to ensure that you had the majority who believed in not direct running schools. And you do that by electing people who have no foot in education, who don't understand what it should look like, what the community actually needs and deserves. That's why you elect those sorts of people, because you can puppet them. And I mean, I'm of the mind that it is scary, because there are people on that board allowing themselves to be used, and then they could look in the public's face week in and week out and pretend like, or feign ignorance, like they don't absolutely know what's going on, and then they continue to perpetrate a fraud on the community, talk about how well the schools are doing, how well the schools are doing. But I'm wondering why there's not a statistician out there, not a researcher out there, not a data analyst out there that's willing to actually look at these numbers and say something in the water ain't clean. Louisiana just jumping spots. But the kids are telling us that the jumping of the spots can't be real if the kids can't read. You have a graduation rate that's through the roof, but a reading proficiency rate in the toilet. Make it make sense. It's impossible, right? Because if you're going to graduate at an 87% rate or above, clearly your kids should be able to read on grade level, minimally. That's like a foundational like expectation that they read on grade level. And I mean, what are we doing here if we're not actually questioning the system? Because we know people are making a lot of money on the miseducation of our kids. And every time you read an article about the superintendent search, they quoting Dana Peterson, New Schools for New Orleans. That's who they quoting. They're quoting Caroline Roma from the Louisiana Association of Charter Schools. They're quoting these people as if they are the authority on what our schools should be doing. It's insane. I wonder why nobody's talking to the high performing schools and asking those leaders, what should we see in our next superintendent? I'm confused. Why are you not doing that? I'm not going to the bottom asking questions when the cream rises to the top. Why are you not asking the Ben Franklins of the world what they want to see in their next superintendent? The Hines of the world, Thomas Jeffersons and all of those people, because Thomas Jefferson is Jefferson Parish, but it's still the same, right? Go ask them. They're running great schools, consistently great schools, and nobody's asking them. How is it that they're able to thrive in a system that is going up in smoke around them? I don't know. I don't know. But somebody still, they still have yet to even tell me, what is New Schools New Orleans' role in all of this? What is your role? Are you like the shadow school board? Are you like the what are you? Because I really want to know. What are you? Because it seems to me that you have a whole lot of say in what's going on with our schools. You have a whole lot of stroke in what our schools are doing. Even at the school board meeting that I went to, and they were talking about the narrowing the field to the finalists, in the superintendent's address, she talked about New Schools for New Orleans. Like, she mentioned it. And I don't know if I can't remember if that's what she said her data came from, but I remember it being said. I mean, it's recorded. I could go back and find it. But why are we leaning on an organization to control our school system? And it seems that organization benefits as long as our school system is struggling. I don't know. Questions that need answering, but that's the long and short of it as it relates to the superintendent search. So what the article says, and you probably should be mindful of it, is that final interviews are set for Wednesday, followed by a vote to select a new superintendent. I think they'll have it done by the 17th is what I'm hearing. You know. But you're going to get what they pay for. Please understand that. You're going to get what they pay for. We have to go to break around here, but when we come back, we're going to jump into conversation with Nika Scott, Vice President of Customer Service and Economic Development at Entergy. She'll be here to talk about the customer service pop-up events in New Orleans East, designed to bring resources directly to the community. Stay with us right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Hey, this is Dave Poston. Be sure to listen to WBOK 1230 AM every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and Sunday evening at 5 p.m., bringing you the best Southern Soul barroom music with the Southern Soul Weekend Party Mix, hosted by me, of course. I'll be playing your favorite Southern Soul music by artists from all over the South, right here on WBOK 1230 AM or online at WBOK1230.com. The station you listen to longer. Listen to longer. Listen to longer.
Good Tuesday morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. The New Orleans Police Department is investigating a shooting near Lincoln Beach. It happened around 10:30 last night near Haynes Boulevard and Bullard Avenue. Officers say when they arrived at the scene, they found a 19-year-old man suffering from a gunshot wound. He was taken to a local hospital. No word on his condition at this time. The North Shore will pay its final respects to a beloved St. Tammany Parish deputy, Sergeant Grant Candies. Candies was killed in the line of duty during a high-speed chase. Funeral services are set for this morning at the Harbor Center in Slidell. Visitation is from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. with the service and procession to follow. Today, you can get to know the two finalists vying to lead NOLA Public Schools as superintendent. Those two candidates are Dr. Fatima Fulmore and Dr. Sharon Clark. Today, the Orleans School Board is hosting a public engagement meeting to introduce both finalists to the community. That's happening at Walter Cohen High School at 5:30 p.m. All right, turning now to the Pelicans. And with just 7 games to go in the season, the Pelicans are shutting down 2 star players. Zion Williamson and C.J. McCollum are officially out for the rest of the year. McCollum was diagnosed with a right foot bone contusion after sustaining the injury in Detroit. He'll continue his rehabilitation program, which includes rest and treatment. Meanwhile, Zion Williamson, who suffered a low backbone contusion as a result of a fall during the game on March 19th in Minnesota, will continue his recovery plan, which is also rest and treatment. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day.
NOLA Public Schools is excited for the rest of this 24-25 school year journey with our families, watching our students dive into learning, growth, and success. As the school year continues, our dedicated educators are focused on keeping every student engaged and motivated. Let's keep embracing new challenges, celebrating achievements, and supporting each other to make the rest of this year even more impactful. Stay connected with your school and NOLA PS through our social media channels for updates and resources. We're here to help our scholars attend today, achieve tomorrow.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta White. Shout out to my super producer, Naira Sanders. Happy Wednesday, y'all. If you're just joining us, we're getting ready to jump into conversation with Nika Scott, Vice President of Customer Service and Economic Development at Entergy. Good morning, Ms. Scott. How are you? Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning, Dr. Wyatt. Thank you for having me.
Listen, thank you for being here. And so we're going to jump into conversation about these pop-up events that are happening in New Orleans East. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I'd love to. Before Hurricane Katrina, Entergy had a customer care center in New Orleans East. It did not reopen after the storm, but we do know how many people live in the East, right? It's a large number of our customers. So, we want to meet our customers where they are. And instead of just going out and building a new care center, we decided, we need to see how many people need our care centers. So we are having pop-ups the first Thursday of every month at the United Way Prosperity Center on Morrison Road to see how many of our customers need us to be out there, and so that they don't have to drive to Canal Street in Mid-City or to Algiers on the West Bank, to pay their bill to have someone, if they have questions about their bill or need any other kind of assistance. We want to be able to be in that community and meet customers where they are.
So what can attendees expect from the event on April 3rd? Could you walk us through the services and resources that will be available at the event?
Sure. So we're going to have, obviously you can pay your bill there. The one thing we can't do is take cash. There's lots of security and financial measures that you have to put in place to take cash, but we'll take credit cards, money orders, or checks. We're going to have our Energy Smart team there, which I think is really important because that team can help our customers save money on their power bill. So we hope people will visit their booth and talk to them and schedule appointments to get the Energy Smart team to their house to help them do weatherization and save money on their power bill. And look, we understand that sometimes things happen. You lose a job and you're in between jobs. You have a medical bill you have to pay. So if people are struggling to pay their bills, we can work with you on a bill payment plan or put you in touch with some of our community partners who provide bill assistance like Total Community Action and the Council on Aging. If you decide you might want a security light, on your street, we have some street lighting issues at times, and if you need a security light, we can help you. We can help you with that. If you just need help interpreting your bill, you want to know what something is on your bill, we'll go through that with you. We'll have our customer service managers there who are out in the New Orleans East community, and just there to help customers from 9:30 to 3 p.m. on Thursday.
Listen, we know that energy costs can be a burden on many households. Could you share more about the Energy Savings and Assistance Program that will be highlighted during the April 3rd event?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. Number one, we want to look at Energy Smart. So Entergy New Orleans, despite what some people may think, we do have some of the lowest rates in the country. Where your rates get high or your bills get high is the usage. I live in an old house. I see it, more so really in the winter than in the summer. I have leaky windows. I have old windows that frankly are just too expensive to replace. So we want to bring our Energy Smart people to as many customers as possible. What that does is that may help you with insulating your attic. That cuts down on your power costs. It may help you with weatherizing your windows. That cuts down on your energy costs. We also have community partners that, if someone is struggling to pay their bills, that we can refer our customers to. It's Total Community Action, which helps them. And then there's the New Orleans Council on Aging, which kind of specializes in customers who are 65 years or older or who are disabled. So we can also refer customers to those two entities.
So when you're having these events and you're trying to gauge the public's interest or the need for an office out there in the East, what steps should the customers take to prepare for the event? Like, what is needed? Should they bring any specific documentation or information with them?
Look, if you have your bill, bring your bill. If you don't, we can look up your account number. And we're gauging how many customers, we see when we have our pop-up. So, yeah, like I said, if you have your bill, you can bring it. If not, we have all of our systems there. If we have to look up a bill for you, we can certainly do that.
And can you give us that time frame again? I know you'll be out there on April 3rd, and you said it'll be the first of the first Thursday of each month. Is that what you said?
That's correct. It's the first Thursday of every month, 9:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. And I'm going to give you the address too. It's 8324 Morrison Road, and it's the United Way building on Morrison.
And it's so it's and that'll be the location for each and every event on every first Thursday. That's the same address. Cool.
That's correct. And follow us on social media. We'll have also information on our social media pages. We have a flyer that we send to ENONAC, the big neighborhood umbrella organization in the East, that they'll send out to all of their neighborhood associations. Want as many people as possible that need to come visit us in person to know about it. And again, I appreciate you letting us talk about it on your show this morning.
No, I appreciate you being here. I'm a fan of the East. I think that there's so much potential in the East, and I think that if we invest in it the way that we should, we can revitalize it to what it once was. But I do believe that this sort of commitment by Entergy is needed, because I don't see a reason to have folk traveling, that far outside of their neighborhoods to pay a bill. And not everybody is electronically savvy to do transactions by phone or by computer. So I know before my grandmother died, that's all she wanted to do was pay her bill in person. I don't think she believed it would be paid if she paid it electronically. So she enjoyed having to go and pay in person. So hopefully the community of the East shows up, so it shows you the need for something like this to take place in that environment. But this
Look,
is the
Dr.
first.
Wyatt, we agree. We agree. I had elderly parents, and when my dad had to wear a beeper, he quit his job. He retired, right? And my parents were the same way. They did not use an app. They paid every bill in person, and we understand that. And look, we're bullish on the East. We think that there is a lot of opportunity in New Orleans East, and it's one of the reasons why we want to have a presence out there and see how well these pop-ups go.
Look, I'm excited about it. And this is your first of the series, right? This is your first. April 3rd will be the first of 6 monthly pop-up events. Could you tell us more about these future events and what people can look forward to in the upcoming months?
So actually, this is our second event.
Oh,
we
missed
the first one in March. It is, but that was for a reason. We wanted to make sure, that we didn't have any glitches or hiccups, because we didn't want people having to stand in line because it was all remote. Right? All of this, we're using, the internet and making sure we're having to connect to our system, which is really secure. So we wanted to make sure that there weren't any hiccups, and that we had about 24 people show up at our first one. We didn't really advertise it that much because we wanted to make sure that we had, worked out all the bugs, and we did. So this is actually our second one, and it's going to be the same thing every month. And also, we want to hear from our customers. If they have a suggestion or a better idea or would like to see something, make sure you share it with that customer service manager. We don't pretend to know everything our customers want, so we want to hear from you. If you think we should do something a little bit better at the pop-up, or you'd like to see us bring another type of service there, let us know, and we'll certainly look into it and try to accommodate our customers.
And this is just an open event. There's no link to let you know that they're coming. You're just going to just open it up, and whoever comes. Is that the way this is set up?
That's correct.
Yeah, because I'm curious to know, because I think that you'll probably see the engagement that you're looking for. I'm hoping you do. I always talk very highly of the East as a look, we were just talking about the East and giving them their props about voting. Like when we looked at the numbers, the folk come out in that area, in the 9th Ward in the East area, to vote all the time, consistently. They're avid voters, and so I can see this being. How did the first one go? Did you get the numbers you were looking for, or were y'all just kind of working out the kinks? Because I can see the folks showing up to ensure that they get this happening in their community.
We were working out the kinks, but we had about 24 people show up, so without it really being advertised. So we're hoping that more customers will take advantage of this that don't want to have to go downtown. Look, if I lived in New Orleans East, I wouldn't have to want to drive to mid-city to pay a bill. So we really do hope our customers take advantage of it and look forward to being there Thursday. So it's successful, technically our first opening event, right?
Absolutely. So how can people stay informed about the future pop-up events and other customer resources provided by Entergy?
Well, I always follow us on social media. We're also, anytime we have an event, and we do other things in the community, we're going to be doing what we call walk-down events in every council district, where we bring our operations crew out to just kind of ride a certain neighborhood. If we think they're having an issue with maybe some sporadic outages, we ride that neighborhood. We look for, tree limbs hitting wires, or just small kind of low-hanging fruits that we can repair right there. So we're out in your neighborhood. So we advertise that. We push it out on social media. We let our neighborhood organizations know that those types of things are occurring. So please follow us on social media. It's great that you guys, WBOK lets us come on and talk about it. So we certainly appreciate the airtime. And we'll continue to reach out via all forms of social and digital media.
And we appreciate you as well. Let's talk customer impact for a second, because, managing Entergy bills can often be challenging for a lot of folk. How does Entergy New Orleans aim to make that process easier for customers through these face-to-face events?
Well, and look, sometimes, like I said, sometimes you have a hardship, right? An unexpected one. So we will have our customer service managers there who will sit down with you, who will go over your bills. If you tell them, I need some more time to pay this bill, they will work that out for you. We never want to disconnect customers. We get that. And we're getting into summer bill season, right? Where it gets hot here in New Orleans. So, and we want to make customers aware of that. let us help you with keeping your costs low. Let us enroll you in our Energy Smart program. Let us help you with the bill payment if you need some additional time to pay it, and then let us connect you with some of our financial assistance agencies if you think that's a better fit for you.
And look, we talked briefly about the Energy Savings and Assistance program, but you also have a security lighting program that information about that is also going to be happening at the event, correct?
That's correct. Sometimes it takes a minute to get some of our street lights back up, and people may want their neighborhood lit up, a little brighter at night. So we will have our lighting team there to talk to customers if that's something that they're interested in.
And what feedback have you received from the community about past customer service initiatives, and how has that feedback shaped these upcoming events? We have certainly heard from our customers. We did some town halls last year on our big resilience program that the council approved last year. And the reason we started these pop-ups is because we heard from the community that they would like to see us out in New Orleans East. People didn't want to drive to Mid-City to pay their bill. So we heard from the customers and we listened. And that's where this pop-up idea came from. I can't go strictly to brick and mortar all of a sudden. I've got to kind of build a case for it. I've got to say, look, this is how many customers we're serving in New Orleans East. So that then I can go back and we can evaluate of actually having a brick and mortar if when it comes to that. So we heard you, and this is why we're out in your community tomorrow. Listen, if you're just joining us, we're in conversation with Ms. Nika Scott, the Vice President of Customer Service and Economic Development at Entergy. She's given us all of the education around these customer service pop-up events that are happening in New Orleans East. They will take place the first Thursday of every month, with April 3rd being the upcoming one from 9:30 to 3 p.m., and it's happening at 8324 Morrison Road. And if you want to keep up with Entergy and all that is happening, you can follow their social media channel at Entergy NOLA, ENTERGYNOLA, for updates and future events. So why do you think these in-person events are important, and especially in New Orleans East?
Well, look, we want to talk to our customers, right? We want to meet them where they are. And again, I'm not an old person, but I'm not a young person either. I don't want to have to drive to pay my bill, especially over the high rise and into downtown. New Orleans East look, we hear it all the time. If you compared it to a city, it's one of the larger cities in the state. So we want to make sure that we're in that community providing the services that our customers are asking for.
Yeah, and especially when folk have such a, I don't know what to call it. I don't want to call it love-hate, but I know I'm not in New Orleans East, and I can tell you, like we know we need it, but there's oftentimes these unnecessary hurdles. And so I appreciate the fact that Entergy is bringing this to the community as opposed to forcing a community to come to wherever you are, to engage the community, to gauge what is needed in the community. I think that should be happening for all of our service providers. So I tilt my hat to Entergy for wanting to put something like this together, and I'm hoping that the community of the East shows up so that they can get this hub in their area and they don't have to venture off into other communities to pay bills or to ask questions or to get issues handled. And so I know I don't even live in the East, and I'm actually excited about this for the East because it's necessary.
Yeah, no, it is. And let me say this. We have never had an event in New Orleans East where we didn't have a large turnout. New Orleans East has an incredibly engaged community and people who are passionate about living there and working there. So I have no doubt that once, people start hearing about it, that they will show up. Because like I said, I've never had hosted an event in New Orleans East where that community didn't show up.
And so in the chat, they're also having some conversations. Is this something where you're going to hopefully think about a permanent Entergy place out in New Orleans East? Is this the reason why you're having these pop-up events, to try to figure out if you should have an office that is permanently there?
Well, and I haven't discussed that with, the powers that be. It's not my specific, I can make recommendations, but I certainly do want to know, how many people need our services there on a more permanent basis. So I'm absolutely tracking how many people we serve just so that I can bring that back to our team.
Well, we appreciate you for what you're trying to do. Let's once again give our listening audience the event information. I can do it, but I think it's going to come out so much better from you. Where is the event taking place? What time is it happening? And what do the folk who want to participate need to bring so that they can fully engage in this pop-up event?
Certainly. Thank you. I appreciate that. This is our New Orleans East Pop-Up Center. You can pay your bill. We take credit cards, money orders, and checks. If you have a question about your bill, we'll have customer service managers there to help you and talk you through your bill. If we can refer you to some of our financial assistance partners, if you're interested in security lighting or Energy Smart to help save you money on your bill, we're happy to assist you with that. We'll have representatives there to discuss it. The event is the first Thursday of every month at the United Way Prosperity Center. And that address is 8324 Morrison Road, and we will be open from 9:30 to 3 p.m. And we hope we see our community there.
Well, Nika, you're getting a whole bunch of love in the chat as well. There's a woman that lives in New Orleans East that is extremely fond of you, and so that's always a plus. And so, listen, I want to thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you for the information. Thank you for the education, and more importantly, thank you for censoring the folk out there in New Orleans East, because they should not ever feel like they're on an island out there. There should be functioning services out there for all of those folk. I believe that New Orleans East is a crown jewel, and I think if we resource it the right way, it will come back to its glory days. And this is, to me, a step in that direction. So thank you for what you're doing on behalf of the folks of New Orleans East, and thank you for putting together these engagements to figure out what those needs are and how to address them properly. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for having me this morning, Dr. Wyatt. I appreciate you, and thank you for getting this very crucial information out to our customers.
Well, listen, and I'll keep on doing it for you. And if you want to come back and give us an update, like once the event happens and you want to kind of like give us the breakdown of what took place, you're always welcome here at WBOK. So don't be a stranger. Thank you so much, Ms. Scott. Have a wonderful Wednesday.
Thank you. You too.
Listen, y'all, that's a wonderful event that is happening. The event takes place the first Thursday of every month. It's happening this Thursday, April the 3rd, 9:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. The address is 8324 Morrison Road. It's going to talk about the bill and payment support. It's going to talk about information regarding the energy savings and assistance programs. And they're also going to address the security lighting for your property. So if either of those topics interest you, if you want more information, please get out if you can to 8324 Morrison Road. If you cannot, you can follow their social media channel at Entergy NOLA, and that is all of their. It says stay tuned to Energy New Orleans' social media channel at Entergy NOLA for updates and future events and more ways we're working to serve our customers. I want to thank our guest, Ms. Nika Scott, Vice President of Customer Service and Economic Development at Entergy, talking about those pop-ups that's happening in New Orleans East. I'm excited about it. Listen, we all have our hang-ups with Entergy, but anytime that they're trying to do something to serve the community and they're looking for community engagement, they're looking for feedback, we should take advantage of those opportunities, because to share your opinions, that's the first step in making certain that the entity could address your issues. But if you don't bring your issue to the table, I'm not certain that anyone can read your mind. And so I believe any person living in New Orleans East, if this is something that you want to see happen, please get out to 8324 Morrison Road. And if you know a neighbor that can't get out there, she can't drive, give them a ride. Bring somebody. Like, we have to start being more neighborly with each other. And to me, the New Orleans East, for us, I don't know if you really understand how it works in terms of like voting power and what we want in our elected officials. I don't think you can win in a city without making certain that you're taking care of the people of New Orleans East. So maybe that is what our elected officials should know. And maybe they should start to water or continue to water the New Orleans East the way that it should be. And I'm talking about all of the folk who are considering running for office in this city. It is imperative that you treat the East like the crown jewel that she is, because if you're trying to win, you need her. So let's get out and support New Orleans East on April 3rd, 9:30 to 3 p.m., 8324 Morrison Avenue. And if you see Ms. Nika, say hello to her. Listen, we got to take a break because we got a couple bills to pay, but y'all know what it is around here. We're going to jump right back into the news. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for University Housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
WBOK and LCMC Health are proud to present Keeping You Well Cafe. 60 minutes with LCMC Health, where the doctors speak directly to the people of New Orleans. LCMC Health is committed to improving the quality of care here in New Orleans, the Gulf South, and beyond. The Keeping You Well Cafe is another way for LCMC Health to engage with the community. At the Keeping You Well Cafe, LCMC Health joins WBOK and local businesses to answer your questions about wellness and health.
Welcome to Liberty Bank and Trust, where your financial journey transforms communities. Since 1972, our customized banking solutions power your dreams and fuel your community growth. Every dollar you invest with us circles back to empower more people, ensuring opportunities for generations. Join us at Liberty Bank. Together, we empower possibility. Visit libertybank.net to start banking with purpose. Liberty Bank, there's freedom here.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. If you're just joining us, you missed a good conversation with Ms. Nika Scott, the Vice President of Customer Service and Economic Development at Entergy. They'll be hosting their pop-up this week on the 3rd in New Orleans East. Is going to take place on Morrison Road. If you could get out there, please get out there. They're trying to gauge the community to see what needs to be done in terms of Entergy services for our residents out in New Orleans East. So I want to thank Ms. Nika Scott for joining us this morning. But we're going to turn our attention to some additional local news. If you're just joining us, you missed my spiel about the superintendent search. They've had their public engagement conversations. It was held last night, I believe, at Cohen High School. And I don't, if you were there, you know what took place. If you weren't there, I'm not certain based on the article that you missed anything. And so they'll make a decision soon. It is my understanding that something is going to happen today and then with the finalization of it on the 17th. But that's the timeline for that. But as it relates to election season happening here in the city, another candidate will oppose Sheriff Susan Hudson. This time it's a former judge. The former judge's name is Julian Parker Jr., announced his candidacy for Orleans Parish Sheriff in front of the Orleans Parish Criminal District Courthouse on April 1st, which was yesterday. He's jumping into a growing field of opponents facing off against incumbent Sheriff Susan Hudson. To three of them now, Parker, who held a seat on the bench in New Orleans for 18 years before retiring in 2014, has kept a low political profile for the last decade. He said Tuesday he was compelled out of retirement by deteriorating conditions at the OPSO jail. Did I read that right? He's been retired since 2014, and he was compelled to come out of retirement because of the condition of the jail? Okay. Parker, who is 70, mentioned jail overdoses, an issue that's also been flagged by monitors of the jail's decade-old consent decree, who have said they are difficult to track because OPSO's poor record keeping. At least 2 OPSO inmates died from overdoses in 2023, the Times-Picayune has reported. The article goes on to say recently there have been people who have died from fentanyl overdoses right back here in the jail, Parker said. If that's not enough to make you upset, to make you want to get up and do something when you know you can do it. I don't know what can. Well, I got a question for Mr. Parker, because what I do know is there are 17-year-old children also being housed in there, and if the condition of the jail is what compelled you out of retirement, I'm wondering if housing 17-year-olds in those conditions was also a part of compelling you out of retirement. Because see, folk that like to do these kinds of things and jump into races, I have questions, because for me, the conversation to move the age from 18 to 17, we allowed that to happen, right? Now there are 17-year-old children being housed in the same facilities as adults. And then there was this push to try to lower the age to 14. I wonder if that was compelling. Like I often wonder what is the motivation behind certain things that folk are doing. Like I wonder if we know that there are a multitude of jails being built in Louisiana, being currently funded to be built or being planned to be built. The last article I was investigating last night, it says 7. 7 of them, with 4 of them being juvenile facilities and 2 being facilities for women. That's the article that I read. And I wonder why this is not getting the kind of attention that it's supposed to be getting. Like, why is nobody talking about this? Like, we're investing multi-millions of dollars into prison systems, but we continue to act like crime is the reason why folk can't have a quality of living. That's why you build in jails, but we always lead the pack in incarceration. So if the condition of a jail could compel you out of a retirement, I wonder what the condition of a school system would do for you. You know, I don't know. Because to me, to be the next sheriff, you have to care about the school system too. Because, look, that's the front end of the work. You don't want them to have to come to you, because by the time they come to you, that means a front end and already failed them. So you got to care about the schools, in my mind. That's what would compel me to do most things, is the idea that we are so reactionary. We don't do enough on the front end to prevent the overcrowding of our jails, to prevent 17-year-old children from being in adult institutions, to prevent fentanyl overdoses, because I would like to think that that's about educating our kids to not take pills that they don't know the origin of, to not order drugs off the computer and put them in their system and you don't know what's in it. Huh? Like, I think education, to me, leads the pack in terms of how do we fix the broken parts of systems to ensure that prisons have no place for our children. But see, this prison stuff is profitable. People making a whole lot of money. Because if you think the governor could agree to invest $39 million into a juvenile facility and there's no return on that investment, I would like you to wake up. You're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. Wake up. $39 million. And then they called it the Renaissance, like it's a spa. Like you gotta go in there and get you a mani and pedi and get your scalp massage and all of those things, right? And then they building these private institutions, because you know that's where the kickback's gonna come from. Then you're gonna have judges sentencing children to harsher penalties because they're gonna get a little money on the back end. That's what's gonna happen. That's why you was trying to revamp our judicial system, trying to get all of these different courts so you can put your buddies on them and y'all can have all this money going from one hand to the other one. You ain't fooling me. I can see it. I can see. But this person was compelled to come out of retirement to run for the sheriff's office because of the conditions of the jail. He said, I've been inside these jails. I've interviewed prisoners. I've tried every criminal case in the book, from arson to domestic violence. I've studied criminal law for 40 years. I know what needs to be done to treat people like human beings. So I got another question. And y'all can help me out. The number is 504-582-9422. Y'all ever asked yourself why, like, folk be having all of these answers, but they can't give you no answers unless they actually have the position? Because, see, if I lived in a city and I'm watching everything disintegrate around me, deteriorate around me, I'm watching everything implode around me, and I have the answers. If I care about my city and if I care about its children, I don't actually need a title or a position to actually give my expertise to help. If I'm so brilliant in that way, if I got 40 years of experience, I'm just going to watch it implode because I need the position to actually tap into my brain and share it. But anyway, there are other opponents for the sheriff, including Ed Shorty, the longtime second city constable in Algiers, and Michelle Woodfork, a retired longtime New Orleans police officer who held a brief stint as interim superintendent. 7 months before November's election, it's unusually active. It's an unusually active race. 7 months before the election, it's unusually active. After Hudson's first term was marred by a string of controversies and a dip in compliance with the federal consent decree. In 2021, Hudson, the former New Orleans Independent Police monitor, pulled off a shocking upset of former Sheriff Marlon Guzman and a 17-year incumbent. Parker briefly emerged from retirement in 2022 when the Orleans Parish District Attorney Jason Williams said he was bringing Parker on to help screen cases for prosecution. Parker's law license had lapsed at the time. However, it appeared Williams backtracked from those plans. Parker's license is now active, according to the Louisiana Bar Directory. Now Williams has endorsed Woodfork in this year's race. He supported Hudson in 2021. It's going to be a fun time in the next couple months. Because I also am hearing some rumblings about the former Sheriff Marlon Guzman eyeing this position again. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But that is what's happening in terms of the sheriff's race. When we get any updates about the mayoral race, I will share that with you. But as far as I know, as of today, the field is still set, which includes Councilwoman Helena Moreno, Councilman Oliver Thomas, Mr. Twiggs, I believe he's an attorney if I'm not mistaken, and Miss Renata Collins is also vying for that position. If there are new folk to the makeup of the race, I'll share that as well. I do know that there are some folk vying for some council seats. When we get some confirmation on that, we will share that as well. And if you have some confirmations, please feel free to call 504-582-9422. But in other local news, Tulane dismantles their gender and multicultural offices as Trump targets diversity, equity, and inclusion. It says Tulane shuttered the Office of Gender and Sexual Diversity, a longtime resource for LGBTQ plus students, and the Office of Multicultural Affairs, which housed the Black Student Union and other student groups. The Caroline Barber Pierre Center for Intercultural Life, which provides services for all students, will absorb the two offices, a university spokesperson said. All traces of both offices have been wiped from Tulane's website and social media platforms. The reconstruction comes as the university overhauls its Office of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion in response to threats by Trump administration to pull funding from colleges that have programs or services that target students by race. Tulane officials said the crackdown could threaten the university's $320 million in annual federal funding. Another executive order by President Trump instructed federal agencies to stop promoting and funding gender ideology. So we're talking about it, so let's talk about it. When it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion, now they targeting everything but them athletic programs, huh? Because, see, I wonder what it would look like if you stripped diversity from those athletic programs, if you stripped inclusion from those programs. Because then if you do, then there goes the equity, right? What's equitable about stripping diversity and inclusion from any program? I wonder why folk are caving into this. You have to ask yourself why. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, if you know how the branches of government work, yeah, he can scribble on these executive orders all he wants. But there are protocols that have to happen. There are checks and balances that are in place. He can't just with the stroke of his pen do it. So why are we caving before you have to do it? I don't know. I would like a little bit more resistance here. I would hope. We got to go to break, but when we come back, we're going to continue to talk about what matters, the state of the city, the state of this state, the state of this country right here on WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
WBOK 1230 AM New Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. The Pentagon is reviewing physical standards for combat roles to ensure no exceptions for female soldiers. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth ordered a 60-day review, stating all troops must meet the same high standard. More than 200 passengers are sick with norovirus on a luxury cruise ship. The Cunard Line ship left England and sailed to New York and the Caribbean before returning to the UK. The CDC reported the outbreak in late March. Some lawmakers, including Senator John Fetterman, are pushing to bring whole milk back to schools. The Obama-era requirement for skim and low-fat milk aimed to reduce kids' saturated fat intake. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. called the guideline antiquated. And the latest Forbes ranking of the world's wealthiest people includes 18 celebrities. NBA legend Michael Jordan is rounding out the top 5 with $3.5 billion, along with Oprah Winfrey with $3 billion. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
New Schools for New Orleans is committed to celebrating the hardworking teachers of New Orleans Public Schools. Join us at the 4th Annual NOLA Teacher Fest, sponsored by the All-State Sugar Bowl New Orleans teacher community. The NOLA Teacher Fest is happening Friday, May 2nd at Champion Square from 4 to 7 p.m. The fest is open to teachers, paraprofessionals, deans, coaches, counselors, and other school support staff. Visit our website to learn more and RSVP, www.newschoolsforneworleans.org.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm your host, Dr. Ashanti Sawai. Shout out to my super producer, Naira Sanders. If you're just joining us, we were talking about the election landscape here in the city of New Orleans, just talking about how the sheriff's race is shaping up with a new contender and a former judge. There's also a mayoral race going on, and I forgot to mention that former Judge Arthur Hunter is also in the mayoral race. Forgive me for allowing that to slip my mind, because I did know that he was also in the race. So that is former Judge Arthur Hunter, Councilwoman Helena Moreno, Councilman Oliver Thomas, Miss Renata Collins, and Mr. Twiggs. Those are the folk who are vying for the mayoral seats in the upcoming election. So again, forgive me for omitting Arthur Hunter's name off of that list. There's also some stuff going on a national level. I don't know if you guys were watching, but Cory Booker made history with the longest Senate floor speech in protest of the president's agenda. It says Democratic Senator Cory Booker mounted a historic protest on the Senate floor across 2 days, warning against the harms he said President Donald Trump's administration is inflicting on the American public. The New Jersey Democrat spoke for 25 hours and 5 minutes, according to his office, breaking the record for the longest floor speech in modern history of the chamber. Booker, 55, surpassed the late Senator Strom Thurmond's speech that lasted 24 hours and 18 minutes in 1957. Booker said that he was speaking in spite of the previous record holder's remarks against the 1957 Civil Rights Act. Since I've gotten to the Senate, I always felt it was a strange shadow hanging over the institution, that the longest speech, all the issues that have come up, all the noble causes that people have done are the things that typically try to stop. I just found it strange that he had the record, Booker told CNN. As a guy who grew up with the legends of the civil rights movement, myself, my parents, and their friends, it just would seem wrong to me. It always seemed wrong. He began his speech at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Monday with a vow to keep his protests going as long as he was physically able, and with nothing, he told CNN, but a Bible verse in his pocket. The marathon speaking session from Booker, a member of the Senate Democratic leadership team, comes as his party faced increasing pressure from the voters to take a harder line against Trump. That's what I'm asking for. That's what I'm asking for. That's what I'm asking for. Prior to the break, we were talking about Tulane University and how they are dismantling certain programs in alignment with this attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so my question is, how come these institutions are folding as easily or as quickly as they're folding? And I understand being afraid to lose funding, but there are levels to that before it can just happen. And I'm just trying to wonder, or I'm asking myself, is it, I mean, is that the time to do it? Is that the time to do it when he's threatening it, or the time to do it is when you've exhausted every measure before you just give in to that? Because what does that say to those populations of children who are also in your charge? What does that say to them? I mean, that their lives don't matter, that their humanity isn't valued, that they don't belong on your campus? Is that the message that we really want to give to folk who are also paying tuition to be there? It's not like you could just come and it's some sort of community service project. They're paying a lot of money to be there. And so while I understand that you're worried about losing federal funding, there are levels to being able to lose federal funding. But what happens when you lose the student body? Then what good is the federal funding when it makes it to you, if it makes it to you, if you have no student body to govern? Because there's going to come a time where everybody is going to have to answer for the choices that they're making and the side that they're choosing to take when the very, like, humanity is under attack. This, to me, no longer feels like simple politics. This is an all-out assault on humanity as we know it. And if you don't fit a certain criteria, then your humanity has no value. And that means white and wealthy. And oftentimes, white, wealthy man. So what happens? Like, that's all I'm asking for. Like, take a more prominent stance against this foolishness. It says the speech effectively delayed any legislative business in the Senate on Tuesday as it stretched late into the day, though it amounts to a primarily symbolic rebuke, as Booker was not attempting to hold up any specific piece of legislation. A friend of mine texted me. She said a Democrat should do it. A Democrat should do it every single day. That's what she texted and said. Get on the floor and just disrupt it every single day. I don't know. What are your thoughts about that? Good morning, T-Bone. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Morning, Doc. How y'all doing?
I'm great. How are you?
All right. Well, first, hats off to Cory Booker. He did what he could do the other day. I mean, honestly, because they don't have a majority, because they put themselves in this mess, Democrats are limited in what they can do in that branch of government right now. But Cory Booker showed that they'd still have some cojones. And so, yes, my hat's off to him. Honestly, I would have drawn weight behind him if he would have ran for president. I did hope he was going to make it to the primary a time ago, because I think he could have been another Obama in terms of they wouldn't have been able to do anything. I mean, the brother actually rescued one of his voter base from a burning building. Now, how you sit up there and smear something like that? They have no dirt on this guy, and he actually tries to fight for the people. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on him. But I can speak on the education scare with DEI. Here's the thing, and you know this as an educator. Funds are limited as it is supporting a school. And that goes going through elementary all the way up to public colleges. And so just ifing at money not being able to get sent scares administrators. And so what they do is they reconnoiter, they reword some stuff, they take some things down because of this man threatening them with taking away millions of dollars. And those dollars can lead to programs getting closed, educators losing their jobs, administrators losing their jobs. You understand what I'm saying? He knows what he's doing when he threatens people with money. He's threatening people with money right now with these tariffs. what he's doing, and I put this analogy that, okay, I'll try to explain it again. In a game of poker, you've been sitting at the table a while, and you have somebody that has more stacks of coin than you. Anytime they put up a big bet, if you're not sure about your hand, you fold it. And that's what he's doing with these countries. He feels like the U.S. always has the better hand. Remember what he told Ukraine? You don't have the cards?
Yeah.
He's thinking like that constantly when it comes to money. He thinks the U.S. always has the best cards at the table. But let me tell you something. If you understand poker, you're going to understand what I say right now. Just because you get a pair of aces does not mean you're going to win that pot.
Right.
You could be sitting up there with two aces, and that other person's got a 2 or 3, and then the river come out, and they get that 5, 6, and 7, while Trump is still holding them two aces. Now, if you're a poker person, you know what that means. That person's got that 2 and 3, gonna win that pot. But that's how he's playing this. Oh, I've got all the money, so you're gonna shut up and do what I tell you to do. That's what he's doing to people across the board. That's what he's trying to do with Canada. That's what he's trying to do with Ukraine. We're not gonna give you anything unless you sign the ceasefire. But look what happened. Predictably, Putin didn't sign it. Oh, well, Israel, you're going to do what we say. Israel has been fighting with these people for centuries. Centuries. What makes him think they're going to listen to us? I'm reading about it in the Bible, Old Testament. Israel's been fighting people for decades, for centuries. That's not going to change. And he's doing the same thing with education. He is punking educators and telling them, you're going to do what we say or we're taking our millions of dollars home. Where you have institutions like in New Orleans that are operating either in the red or damn near in the red.
Yeah.
They can't afford to lose that money. And that's what's going on, Doc.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm with you. I understand it. I just want the folk who we elect in these positions to push the line a little bit harder than they're doing. Like, we have to do more. And I just don't understand how these institutions are so easily folding. Yes, I get he's threatening your federal dollars. I get that. But it has not happened. Like, that would be the last thing I do. Like, I literally would have to be forced to do it. And it just seems like as soon as he threatens it, they just fold like a tent. And it ain't even happened yet. It's just I'm threatening to do it, and then they just giving up all of these programs and doing away with all of these entities that are supposed to protect marginalized groups of students. So I don't know. I have questions about how it's being done, but I appreciate you, T-Bone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
All right, y'all.
Have a great one. Good morning, I'm Treese. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
Look, I agree with you. We need the pushback. We need them to be just as loud and vocal and brass as the other side. For instance, even with like these amendments that we just successfully passed, the Democrats, I feel like they're letting the moment pass them by, because I think the very next day we heard that they had another Republican trying to write up legislation to push it again. Like, yes. Where's y'all legislation? Y'all think that as many bills as they writing to do whatever they know that they ain't gonna get passed, can't get passed, couldn't possibly get passed. Why Democrats just write up some legislation? Write up all kind of legislation, whether you think you can get it passed or not, and just be putting it on the floor and throw it at the wall like they're throwing it. Like how Corey Representative Booker, Senator Booker said up there, we should have another Democrat today doing the same thing. And then the next day, another Democrat, the next day doing another. Like, get disruptive. Get just as disruptive and as they were. during Obama. Your boy just mentioned Obama. They was disruptive. They didn't have. We had the House and the Senate under Obama until the midterms, and they just got in there, was disruptive until the midterms, until they can get some people in there. That's what we're asking for. And I agree with you. There's no reason for these people to fold unless you wanted to do that in the beginning, in my opinion, because it's showing you that Target lost money, Costco gained money,
and Target is continuing to lose money. They're now trying to ration their light. The article I just read yesterday said that they're trying to conserve energy now, like lights and things of that nature.
But
at some
who
of their
refuse
stores,
they're gaining money. So it shows that there is a community out there that will support you if you say, listen, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I don't feel like the Democrats know how to still take that moment. There's no reason that in this state, every Democrat that is a senator, a representative, or whatever the committee, Democratic committee, they should have all kinds of stuff every day flowing out to us saying this is what we're putting out or this is what we're doing. They should not be quiet, because I guarantee you, why are they waiting for because this man going to go on a revenge tour. So why y'all waiting to see what his revenge going to be instead of you putting things out there? Saying these are our next move. Where is our Project 2028? They had a Project 25. Mm-hmm. Where is our 200-page policy book of this is what the hell we going to do?
Yeah. I'm with you. I just think we need to push back more firmly, more sternly, and that's just where I'm at with it. Like we're not getting
every
anything
day
being
a
politically
Democrat
correct.
should be filibustering in the Senate. Every single day we should have a Democratic senator up there filibustering.
Yeah.
Why not?
I got you. I appreciate your call this morning. Thank you so much.
Right.
Listen, I don't know if you guys know too. I wanted to talk about this on yesterday, but in more like incompetence under the circus that is this administration, Pete Hegseth brought his wife to work. He hired his brother too. Did y'all know about that? Like, she's actually sitting in on classified meetings as if she's elected, vetted. Like, what? He took his wife to work and he hired his brother. Hegseth's younger brother hopped on the defense secretary's jet for a trip to Hawaii last week, while his wife sat in on 2 important meetings with European military leaders. Phil Hegseth, Pete's younger brother, is a Department of Homeland Security liaison to the Defense Department. The Pentagon confirmed to the Associated Press. He's a former public affairs advisor to the Hudson Institute think tank, where his online biography says he's led production of Hudson's podcasts, video products, and website design. Phil Hegseth also previously worked at a veterans nonprofit run by Pete Hegseth. The Pentagon did not respond to a request for confirmation or comment, but DHS has taken on an important role in the Trump administration as it vows to ramp up deportations of people in the U.S. illegally. President Donald Trump has also directed the military to take up a more active role in immigration, sending an additional 4,500 troops to the southern border. In his liaison role, Phil Hegseth traveled with his older brother on a trip through the Indo-Pacific, including Hawaii, Guam, Japan, and the Philippines. And he tagged along on the defense secretary's trip to Guantanamo Bay last month, after Trump announced plans to detain tens of thousands of migrants at the U.S. base in Cuba. Pentagon spokesperson Sean Purnell said Phil Hegseth did not travel with the defense secretary on a tour to visit American allies and bases in Asia. He is conducting touch points with U.S. Coast Guard officials as a DHS senior advisor and liaison. Kathleen Clark, a law professor at Washington University and a government ethics expert, said that if Pete Hegseth promoted, advanced, or advocated for the advancement of his brother's position, he may run afoul of the 1967 anti-nepotism law. A violation of that law would mean his brother would not be entitled to a payment of a salary from the Treasury Department. This unqualified person that can't stop drinking, has no business being in the position he's in, has now hired his brother, and he's taken his wife into important military meetings. When is it going to end? When are we going to draw the line? We have to go to break and pay a couple bills, but when we come back, we're going to jump into conversation with Dr. Monique Hamilton, an OBGYN from Oshner Health Center, Baptist, McFarland Medical Plaza, and Kunaku Asai, STEM Pathfinder lead with Oshner's education outreach team. They'll be talking about the STEM Pathfinder and how it's a cost-free program that encourages entry into the health sciences. Y'all stay with us right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Good morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. 2 people taken to a local hospital after a shooting near the Sanger Theater. The New Orleans Police Department says it happened near the intersection of Bienville and Basin Streets. No word on the condition of the victims this morning, and detectives had not named a suspect in the shooting at this time. This morning, students at Xavier University are on edge after more than a dozen cars were broken into on campus. University leaders say a total of 13 vehicles were vandalized over the weekend. Xavier University leaders declined for requests for interviews, but they released a statement saying they're working to address the issue. University police cruisers are monitoring the parking lots, and the university is in close cooperation with the NOPD. The search for NOLA Public Schools' next superintendent comes to a close today. 2 finalists will interview one more time before board members choose their district's leader. Finalists will have their final interview at 9 a.m. today. After board members will vote on a new superintendent, the 2 finalists are interim superintendent Dr. Fatima Fulmore and the head of Sophie B. Wright High School, Dr. Sharon Clark. Another candidate is throwing his hat in the race for Orleans Parish Sheriff. Former Judge Julian Parker launched his campaign. Parker served on the bench at Orleans Parish Criminal Court for more than a decade. Parker joins current Sheriff Susan Hudson, retired New Orleans Police Department Interim Superintendent Michelle Woodfork, and Constable Ed Shorty in the race. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day.
Connect with NOLA Public Schools. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X for the latest updates. Sign up for District Digest, our official newsletter where we share district achievements, celebrate student successes, and keep you informed about our vision of providing a high-quality education. And don't miss our school board meetings. Watch in person or live stream on YouTube. Stay informed. Stay engaged. Visit NOLAPublicSchools.com today. Again, that's NOLAPublicSchools.com.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. My super producer, Nyron Sanders, is also in the building. If you're just joining us, we're getting ready to jump into conversation with Kanako Asai, the STEM Pathfinder lead with Ochsner's educational outreach team, talking about this cost-free program that encourages entry into the health sciences. Good morning, Asai. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having us.
How you doing? Oh, you said us. There's another person on the line. I didn't want to leave them out.
I believe that Dr. Hamilton was also joining us from Ochsner Baptist.
Well, she's supposed to, but she hadn't called in, so I only had you on the line at the moment. I think she may be calling in right now, but she'll jump in, as the conversation is going on.
Excellent.
But welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing very well. I'm so glad to be here.
So while we wait for Dr. Hamilton to show up, can you talk to us a little bit about this STEM Pet Finder cost-free program that encourages entry into the health sciences?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a wonderful program that we've been offering for, this will be the 5th year actually. Started in New Orleans at Ochsner Baptist Uptown, and we've grown to 6 different regions this year. This is a completely cost-free 1-week program that we offer to high school students to introduce them into healthcare. Students can come to campus every day to meet Ochsner professionals, really interact with doctors, nurses, really everyone on campus, and get a behind-the-scenes look at what it's like to work in a hospital.
Well, Dr. Monique is also on the phone. Good morning, Dr.
Excellent.
Hamilton.
Good
Welcome to the
morning. How are you?
conversation.
Thank you so much for having us.
Hi, how are you? We just wanted to get the conversation started. I knew you would be on shortly, but we just started the conversation, and Kanako was telling us about the STEM Pet Finder cost-free program that is encouraging folk to get into the health sciences. Do you want to add on to that before we jump into the next question?
Absolutely. We are just so excited to be able to offer this program to our high school scholars in the city. We want to make sure that everyone has access to high STEM programming and to make sure that our students find out at an early age. A lot of times students will decide what they want to do as a career. I know a study was done that shows even as early as 8 or 10. Some students are figuring out that they want to be physicians or nurses, but any of the healthcare fields is what we expose our children to. It's a great mentorship program as well. They spend a week with us, as you would imagine. Some are really, really excited to be there. Some are like it's 8:30 in the morning in the summer, but by the time that they leave, no one wants to go. We keep in touch with our students after that, and it's just a very good entrance into all of the opportunities that are available in healthcare these days. Some patient-facing opportunities, of course, but also non-patient-facing opportunities such as administration. So the students really do enjoy the program. They become better scholars. It's applicable learning for them so that they can connect your physics and algebra 2 classes to healthcare. But it also makes them better patients, better advocates for themselves later on in life. So it's just a very great program, and we are trying to spread the word to make sure that students apply for the program so that we can get that ball rolling for them.
And I see that you guys have expanded into 6 total regions, which includes the River Region, Baton Rouge, Shreveport, Monroe, and Lafayette. But can you talk to us about the program dates and the application details?
Yeah, absolutely. So since we are here in New Orleans, the specific week for the Ochsner Baptist program is July 21st until the 25th. And then here locally, we also offer it for St. Charles Parish Hospital. So anyone in those areas, it's July 14th to the 18th.
And when we talk about the application details, is the application open as we speak, or what date does the application open for those interested?
Yes, we're really happy to share that we did extend the deadline until Sunday, April 13th. So we've got a little bit of time for families to get on our website. It's ochsner.org/edu outreach, and they can find all the information there about the program. The online application is available. It's open to students who are currently in 8th, 9th, and 10th grade. And yeah, if you have questions also, you can email them to stempathfinder@ochsner.org.
And I see that it also says that it's currently for 8th, 9th, and 10th graders, but that the students must at least be 14 years old before the program start date.
Yes, that's just one of our eligibility requirements because they will be working in a hospital. And so, yes, as long as they reach that 14 age by the time the program starts.
So, Dr. Hamilton, can you give us some examples of the types of activities the students will experience during the program?
Absolutely. So we, of course, do a great welcome for the students when they get there. Our CEO from Baptist is very excited about this program as well. So she opens the program for introduction on that day. We go straight into pharmacy career chats. We go through, of course, My Home Labor and Delivery. They go through NICU, the bunker. They visit the breast milk lab. They do heart dissections here on campus. We have a full day where we do college tours. The students visit Tulane University. They also visit Xavier University to talk with the students and scholars at those universities about their experiences. And what that allows our students to do is to become college-minded and college-ready at a very young age. So in 8th, 9th, and 10th grade, we're already going over what the requirements are for college on their applications, what things they need to do during the summer to make sure that as a college applicant, they are very experienced and will have great opportunities and exposures on their resumes for college. We also go through the anesthesia operating room, which is like a huge big day. The students get to dress up. They don out in masks and gloves and gowns, and then we actually bring them to the OR. I show them where I spend a lot of my time. The anesthesia team works with them. They learn how to intubate patients. They work with the scrub techs and show them everything that goes on in the OR. So very few of us get to experience life in the OR unless we're a patient, and so they get to see exactly what that is like. We go and work with our Xavier PA students, and so during that interaction, and they do a skills training where they learn CPR, they learn how to intubate again and starting IVs. We also go to our LPNs will come through, so they'll meet with all levels of nursing. So they'll start with medical assistants, meet with LPNs, RNs, and nurse practitioners as well. They go through radiology. They see what a CAT scan machine looks like. They get inside of the machine. So it's just a great day. The physical therapy day is also great, where they learn what that looks like. We have our flight care team that lands a helicopter for them to see. So it is a week packed with activities, lots of interactive learning, lots of ways to spark enthusiasm in our students.
Look, absolutely. So, Kanako, can you tell us about some of the most rewarding aspects of the program for both the students and the Ochsner professionals who mentor them?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's just so many. Just like Dr. Hamilton mentioned, some of the hands-on experience, these behind-the-scenes look that the students are getting, it's so valuable, and it's having such a huge impact. Just from some of the feedback we've gotten from previous years, every single student that comes out of this program has reported that, their eyes have been open to different healthcare careers, learning really about all the different options available to them, and then becoming more confident in possibly pursuing a healthcare career into the future. They're just very comfortable after that 1 week with Dr. Hamilton and with all of our other STEM Pathfinder leads. It's just such a rewarding experience to see that light bulb go off. It just really clicks of like, wow, I could do this as my career, and it's just so neat. We even found that students just continue that path once we find that spark. We have a recent example, actually. We have a student who's a senior now in a New Orleans school. He went through the STEM Pathfinder program as a freshman in high school. Then he went on to do our sports med program that Ochsner offers. And then last year, as a junior, he participated in our STAR program, which is basically a more intense month-long version of STEM Pathfinder. Now he's a senior. We just found out he got accepted into a college with a full scholarship, and he is interested in pursuing healthcare as a career. So it's amazing to see that progression in students.
So, Dr. Hamilton, how do the clinical skills training and scientific experiments enhance students' understanding of healthcare careers? And could you share a memorable moment or experience from past participants?
Absolutely. We have the different initiatives and the hands-on learning experiences. I can share personally that the students definitely, there's one thing to see something, there's another thing to do something. And there's also opportunities for them to learn about things that they just would not have known. So until you see it, there's no way to know that you can potentially be it. And so for me, we bring our students to the operating room. And so they actually learn how to suture. And so we do suture practicing with the students. And I've been doing this for over 20 years now, and I work with students and residents all of the time. To see some of the students when they start learning how to suture, you can tell, like, they leave from here going, I really have the dexterity to be able to do that. It's not an easy thing, as you would imagine, to operate. And so to see them for the first time pick up a needle driver and pick up pickups, and they're able to actually suture on our, mannequins, obviously, but they're able to actually suture and see that, wow, this is something that I can do, and I'm really, really good at it. And so a lot of working with hands and just the experiences that surgeons need, that's their first experience there in the OR. They leave empowered at that point and, very reassured. It helps them understand that, if she can do it, we can do it too. So the suturing for me is always a big highlight. You asked earlier, how does this help the providers as mentors? And to be able to, I always tell the students, I want to be able to leave the knowledge that we've gained over the year with people when I go on to glory. And so making sure that we are training our next generation of healthcare professionals, these are the kids that are going to take care of us when we get older. And so just making sure that they start off very early makes a huge difference for them. But the kids really, really love the suturing. They absolutely love the physical therapy, to be able to get into and to be able to be in an area where they see what that looks like is amazing for them. Another big life changer for them is when they work with the PA students, because, we're older. They don't connect with us as we would like them to, or as much as they would with someone that's their age. So then when they see students who are closer to their age and they get to share their experiences and why they chose the path that they chose, and to be able to learn how to do CPR and not just hear about CPR, to learn to see what it looks like between the vocal folds when you are doing intubations, it's just, there's really no comparison. And so they do leave with lots of questions. They leave with lots of answers as well. So it's just been a great experience for us over these last 4 years.
I'm sure it has. It sounds very interesting. So, Kanako, can you tell us about how does STEM Pathfinder help students to make more intentional career decisions in healthcare, and how do you see this shaping their future career paths?
Oh my goodness! I mean, it's just so many different ways. I think
I can't hear you. Aside, can you speak closer into the
I was so sorry. Can you hear me a little bit better?
Yes.
It's incredible. I mean, there's just so many different pathways when you come into healthcare. Just like Dr. Hamilton mentioned earlier, maybe someone might not be a patient facing, that might be an interest to them, but through this program, we're able to see other parts of the hospital, other departments. Maybe they're interested in research. We're doing, running the labs that, patients have to do when they come in, when they're referred. So it's just so neat because there's so many different ways that someone can go into healthcare. And honestly, I can't even speak to how rewarding this experience is. Just to introduce them and to have those hands-on experiences, it makes them more confident. And just like Dr. Hamilton mentioned earlier too, like to become an advocate for yourself. Everyone's going to have to go to the doctor at some point to really understand how healthcare works in our country. So I think it's so many different ways, and to introduce students at a young age, it's wonderful. I can't even speak to all the different things. One thing I wanted to mention too, to go along with the hands-on experiences, students do have an opportunity to do a field trip to our main campus on Jefferson Highway. We have a whole simulation center there. We usually do some type of CPR training and gain skills through our skills lab. I think doing these hands-on dissections as well, these are things that they'll have to do in high school and in college if they pursue a science degree. It just gives them more experience, and it's wonderful.
So, Dr. Hamilton, how can the community support or get involved with the STEM Pathfinder program to help inspire the next generation of healthcare professionals?
From the community aspect, it is really knowledge that the program exists, which is why we're very happy to be here on the segment with you today. A lot of times people may find out about the program afterwards, and so we have been just doing our best to get the word out, to spread the word now that we're in 6 different regions as opposed to just our city. Obviously, it's our state. And so spreading the word about the opportunities for the students, and even if students, have a slight interest in healthcare, meaning they know they would like to work in healthcare, but they're not really too sure, this is the program that they go to. Also, from a community awareness standpoint, making sure that we reiterate to our children that it's really just really important about how you spend your summers, and making sure that you have experiences that are going to help you in making that educational decisions later on. One of the things we offer, and this is everybody in the community can participate in this, is we do shadowing opportunities for students at Ochsner here after age 16. And there's nothing like a student being able to spend the day with someone who is doing what they potentially want to do in the future. And so we'll advise our students, if they particularly, come to our program, or just any student, if there's someone in the community that is doing exactly what you want to do, reach out to those people. Send them an email, make a phone call, and just reach out and explain that this is something that I'm very, very interested in doing. Is there a way that I might be able to come and spend a day shadowing with you? There's nothing more valuable than being able to spend that time with someone who's doing the career path that you want to do, to be able to answer questions. And for those who are very excited about their careers, we typically never say no to that request. I've had students reach out to lawyers or, judges or executives or business owners or people in culinary institutions and just say, this is just something that I want to do. Is it possible to shadow? And so my word for the community would be, make sure that we give back to our students, and make sure one of the ways that you can do that is by shadowing or being a mentor. And so for our shadowing program, they're able to actually go on Ochsner Education's website and fill out an application to say that they would like to shadow, why they would like to shadow, and what careers they would like to shadow in. And we do our best to partner them with a professional in that area so that they can spend that time gaining that experience. And so our students and Pathfinders are really excited to reach the age of 16 where they're able to do that and have that experience.
And do you guys also offer like the EMT opportunities? Because there was a comment in our chat that says that one of the easiest ways to kind of get into this field is to take an EMT course. Do you agree with that sentiment? That's from one of our listening audience members.
Yeah, EMT courses obviously are something that will help them get into this field. The EMT training is not a long process at all, and a lot of high schools actually will implement trainings and to make sure that students get certificates before they even graduate from high school. And so we have some programs where students will graduate with either their MA or their EMT certificate, and that program is not very hard to do, and it's not lengthy at all. And so a lot of people will do an EMT training program even while they're in high school, and we have a lot of schools that offer that as well in our area.
And can you give that website, or is there a website where folk can go if they want more information about this STEM Pathfinder program?
Absolutely. They will go to STEM Pathfinder at Ochsner.org. That's STEMPathfinder@ochsner.org. If they have specific questions, they can email us at STEMPathfinder@ochsner.org.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Monique Hamilton and Kanako Asai. Thank y'all for joining us this morning. Thank you for sharing your expertise. We appreciate you. And if there's ever any updates to the program that you want to share, any success stories, you're always welcome back here at WBOK 1230 AM. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful one. If you missed the conversation, you missed the good one. We were in conversation with Dr. Monique Hamilton, OBGYN for Ochsner Health Center, Baptist, McFarland Medical Plaza, and Kanako Asai, the STEM Pathfinder lead with Ochsner's Educational Outreach Team. They were talking about that STEM Pathfinder cost-free program that encourages more and more youth to enter into the health sciences field. So I want to thank them for joining us, but we got to go to break and pay a couple of bills. But when we come back, y'all, you know we're going to talk about it, and we're going to wrap the show. Stay with us right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK 1230 AM from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
We're off to a warm and windy start to the day. Partly cloudy skies with highs in the mid-80s. Winds 15 to 25 miles per hour with gusts up to 40 miles per hour. Wind advisory is in effect until 7 p.m. Coastal flood watches and warnings in effect this week, along with more mid to upper 80s. A chance for storms for this weekend. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
The National World War II Museum. Located in the Warehouse District of New Orleans, the National World War II Museum tells the story of America's experience in the war that changed the world, why it was fought, how it was won, and what it means today. Visit them online at www.nationalww2museum.org for time tickets and safety information.
This is Andronika Morris, host of Put Housing First. Join us every Tuesday at 12 o'clock, where we will discuss how housing affects every aspect of our lives and what's necessary, what's needed to guarantee housing for all. Join us every Tuesday at 12 o'clock as we dig down deep onto the issues that affect all of us.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryant Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. My super producer, Nara Sanders, is also in the building. If you are just joining us, you missed some conversations. We had Nika Scott, the Vice President of Customer Service and Economic Development with Entergy on, as well as Dr. Monique Hamilton, the OBGYN with Ochsner Health Center, and Kanako Asai, the STEM Pathfinder lead with Ochsner's Education Research. All good things, y'all. But right now, I'm going to tell y'all about some things that are happening on a national level that I think you should be aware of, or at least interested in knowing. So aside from Signalgate, where all of these top-ranking governmental officials were discussing war plans, war strategy, sensitive information, whatever word they want to attach to it, all of the things as it relates to the attack in Yemen, they were discussing it on a Signal chat. And a reporter, a journalist, was inadvertently added to the chat by Mike Waltz. Well, now they're talking about Mike Waltz using his Gmail account for sensitive work documents. A Waltz staffer reportedly used his Gmail account to have highly technical conversations with staffers at other governmental agencies about military positions and weapons systems being deployed in an ongoing conflict. The NSC spokesperson, Brian Hughes, told the Post he hadn't seen evidence of the National Security Advisor using his Gmail account as described in the story, but added that Waltz legacy contacts have occasionally emailed work-related information to the account. A whole bunch of stuff to say that it happened, right? Hughes added that Waltz didn't and wouldn't send classified information on an open account. Why are you saying didn't and wouldn't? He's also the same person that said he didn't know how the journalists got into the group chat. He was trying to pretend like the journalist somehow hacked into the group chat before having to acquiesce that he did it. So we can't take his word for it now, can we? When the Post asked about the unidentified Waltz staffer who reportedly communicated about sensitive military plans over Gmail, which is far less secure than Signal, Hughes said NSC staff are directed to use only secure platforms for classified information. Well, but who is the unidentified staffer? Because the person probably don't exist. He did it. Mike Waltz did it. He does not need to be in this position, clearly. I don't even understand how he still has the position after Signalgate. I don't understand how either one of those people who participated in the chat are still employed. But this is a Trump White House, so expect to not believe nothing that you actually see, nothing that you actually hear, because all they're going to do is keep spinning the story until you're so confused that you don't know which way it's up. That's what they're good at, spinning. That is what they're good at. So on top of discussing national security issues in a Signal group chat, he's now discussing those same sensitive measures inside of a Gmail account, which is far less secure than a Signal chat. But if you have them tell it, it's just people are making something out of nothing. It's not that big of a deal. That's what Pete Hegseth said. They've already acknowledged that it was a mistake and it's time to move on. That's what he said. But I mean, that's enough about Mike Waltz. I think the whole entire administration is incompetent. They get these talking points and they just regurgitate the same thing over and over, no matter what you ask them, especially the press secretary. She's insulting people, demeaning people. And we all know that when it comes to the diversity, equity, and inclusion, that's exactly how she got that job that she has at 27 years old. But they fight so hard against it. But she wouldn't have the job that she had if it wasn't about putting people who no merit, because it's clearly not about merit. Like, stop playing. They like to have you believe they're attacking DEI because they want things to be about merit, when most of the people who they talk about in terms of the diversity, equity, and inclusion have more merit than they will ever have to even have the conversation about those people. But nonetheless, let's talk about Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, who is going after people who are vandalizing Teslas. She says she wants severe charges against violent Tesla arsonists. But this is the same lady, the same one that believes the January 6 people were not insurrectionists. The January 6 people didn't need to be in prison, making all of these excuses about why they were penalized for what amounts to treason against their own country. But she's just following the lead of her MAGA leader. That's all. She wants to penalize violent Tesla arsonists with severe charges for vandalizing and doing damage to Tesla facilities all across the country, I guess. But this is what they do. They say each defendant faces a penalty of 5 years to up to 20 years in prison for vandalizing a Tesla dealership. But you had people created an assault on the government, harmed police officers, went looking for members of Congress to harm them, and we pardoned them. Y'all got to make it make sense. This is also the same Attorney General who is seeking the death penalty. She's encouraging people to seek the death penalty against Luigi Mangione, the guy who killed the CEO, the healthcare CEO. Pam Bondi has directed the prosecutors in the case to seek the death penalty against Luigi Mangione, the guy that killed the CEO healthcare executive, the executive for healthcare, the death penalty. And things you just can't make up. Things you just can't make up. The death penalty, really? So why does this case deserve the death penalty? Because he killed a white wealthy man? Is that why? Is that why? I'm curious. We around here seeking a death penalty, but we have situations like Philando Castile, where the officer executed this man, unarmed black man, still with his seatbelt on, riding on the passenger side of a car. But we want the death penalty for this case? And he did that with a baby in the car and a woman in the car, with the man's hands up. The death penalty? We still haven't put all of the people in prison who executed Breonna Taylor. But this the case y'all want the death penalty for? Abatham Jean, the police girl went into his apartment and shot him dead on his couch while he was eating ice cream in his apartment. And she only got 10 years, of which she's still trying to appeal to get out earlier. But this is the case you want to seek the death penalty on? Trayvon Martin was executed. That man ain't spent a day in jail. But this case right here deserves the death penalty, Pam Bondi. This is what happens when you appoint incompetence to positions that require a level of expertise and credentials. But because as long as you're a MAGA-loving supporter, a MAGA-loving loyalist, somebody that's just going to be lockstep with what he wants, you get to serve in these high-level capacities and have jurisdiction over people's freedom. This is insane. We have people out here working on behalf of the government, kidnapping folk off the street who have a legal right to be here and transporting them to Louisiana because our governor don't mind housing them. He want to do whatever his buddy in the White House say do. But these are the cases that require a death penalty. Y'all are shipping people to El Salvador prisons by mistake and can't even get them back. But y'all want to kill Luigi Mangione because he killed the CEO of a executive of a healthcare organization. Does he deserve to be criminally prosecuted? Absolutely. But I can promise you there are a number of cases that require you to be talking death penalty if that's the angle you want to go. So I'm not an advocate of it, but that's the angle you want to go. There are a number of cases that will qualify. But this is the one you choose? Yeah. But this is a place for liberty and justice for all people. We are hustling backwards in this country. And it's all because of somebody that's drunk off power and control and not enough people with the guts or the heart or the courage to stand up against him. The Republicans ought to be ashamed of what is happening to this country on their watch. And any Democrat siding with this foolishness ought to be ashamed of what is happening on their watch. But y'all stay tuned. Up next for the Front Porch with Greeley and Kimber. As for the Good Morning Show and Dr. Ashanta White and my producer, Nara Sanders, we're going to see y'all tomorrow. Happy Wednesday. This is WBOK 1230 a.m. what New Orleans is talking about all day long.